everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Well, today I wanted to talk about transphobia. What is transphobia? In a nutshell, it is an aversion or prejudice towards transgender people. And the reason I wanted to bring it up this week is because lately I've had some interesting conversations about transphobia and really some examples of it in these conversations. But I'm not trying to pick on anybody because, to be honest, we are all transphobic. We can't help but be because we're raised that way. The messages we get in society just remind us over and over again about these negative stereotypes of transgender people. You don't have to go very far to see examples where we are portrayed as ugly or perverted, that we are just not worthy of being loved and deluded because our physical bodies don't match our gender identities. If you really want to see what hate looks like, go to just about any transgender article in major media and then start looking at the comments. If you're any sort of compassionate person, those comments will make you ill. The cisgender world judges us based on our bodies, and I don't just mean in terms of whether we are attractive or not. They actually judge us for our authenticity. And everybody, whether we're cisgender or transgender, we internalize these messages and we can't help but spread them. And it can be in a million subtle and insidious ways. I've had very close friends tell me that I became a woman on the day I had my surgery. I recently had a friend say that any lesbian who would sleep with a pre-op trans woman is probably not a lesbian, that she falls more along the spectrum of queer. And if we could deconstruct that argument, basically what she was saying is that if you have a penis, you're still a guy. Because if she really truly believed that that trans woman is in fact really a woman, then a cisgender lesbian who loved her would in fact be making love to another woman. One of the arguments that was brought up in that conversation was about how lesbians get a lot of shit for basically enjoying sex with a strap-on. That if they truly are lesbians, then why do they enjoy sex with something that simulates a male penis? Personally, I think the most powerful argument in that case is that that penis, even though it's plastic or glass or rubber or whatever, is attached to a woman. The woman wearing it may not even like wearing it, but because she's doing something that her partner enjoys, she's gonna do it. I really don't see how a pre-op trans woman is that much different. Yes, she owns a biological penis, but it's still attached to a woman, and she may not enjoy using it herself either. And yet still, we judge people by the genitals they're willing to have sex with. We whisper about that cisgender gay guy who's dating the transgender gay man, all because that transgender gay guy probably still has the original factory equipment. We can't see how love and compassion can transcend those definitions, or stretch to include the gender identity that we carry up in here. I've seen it happen in the lesbian community too, where you whisper about that lesbian who's going out with a pre-op transgender drag queen. Within our own LGBTQ+ community, we police identity very rigidly. We pass judgments on people's identities based on who they are attracted to. We judge people on how they transition and how far they transition. And we judge people on how they express their gender. And in all this, we favor binaries. We are so afraid of a world that's actually made up of a lot of sexual and identity gray areas, because it makes things a lot harder to understand and complicated. And we like simple and uncomplicated. And I'm no different than anybody else. I'm not trying to make all of you feel bad about this. I remember speaking with some friends about a trans woman we knew who really still enjoyed making love with her penis. And we actually doubted her transgender identity based on that. It wasn't until I got older and met more people and understood things better where I understood that not everybody feels the same way about their bodies that I do. We don't all fall along a binary. Some of us are somewhere in between, and that's okay. We need to really be less worried about other people and just worried about ourselves. Because this is what I know. I only know me. I'm a woman and I have been my whole life. Yes, my body had masculine characteristics, but I don't think of this body as a mistake. I don't think of myself as trapped in it. This is the only body I'm likely to have. And yes, I've changed it to better express the feelings I had inside about myself and my identity. But I think there's a beauty to that, and I don't think that really makes me very much different than the rest of the world. We all make changes to our body to better express who we are. We work out, we pierce things, we change our hair color. We need to stop judging people by their exteriors. Saying when I had a penis I was a man, and those who had sex with and loved me weren't actually doing those things with a woman, invalidates that identity by implying my body parts define who I am. And it's an example of thinking that values the physical over our inner identities. Even more fundamentally, it actually invalidates the identities of transgender people entirely. Our authenticity relies on the understanding that our bodies do not define who we are as men, women, or anything in between. The world is much bigger than what we can see in people's exteriors. At least not yet. Just this week I was reading articles in Scientific American and other places of experiments that show that the brains of transgender people resemble the brains of the gender identity with which they identify. And these were experiments done on pre-medically transitioned transgender people. That means none of the transgender people in these experiments had taken any hormones yet to make any physical changes to themselves. Now, I think it's a natural bias to doubt things that we can't see physically, things that we have to take on faith. But if we express those biases and prejudices by saying transphobic things within our own community, then how can we expect the rest of the world to take those identities seriously too? It's something I've seen close friends in the community struggle with, and I've tried to help educate them, but it's also something I've struggled with. And not to be cliche, but part of dealing with a problem is recognizing that it exists. On that note, like, share, and subscribe, and see you around the interwebs.